Hi guys, I'm going to quickly go over how you can use FoxFall, the artillery calculator I designed. It should be quick and easy. Let's get started. So it's an overlay. You can see it's running in the bottom right over here. And it's designed to show over your map, although there are other ways of using it. Okay, so I'm just going to open up my map over here. You can see I'm here near this relic base. Let's say my RT was set up over here. What I can do is in the map, you see these cells. These ones, they're 125 by 125 meters. So you open the overlay, you click calibrate grid, and you drag a cell like this. And then it matches your map zoom, and you can now use the overlay and it will get the distances right. So I have a radio, which can obviously see my RT and stuff, so I could just right click where my RT is, say RT over here. Then I got to tell it which kind of RT, because they're all affected by wind differently. So let's say I was firing 120s, let's say coronades, and it gives me the range of the coronades. This is without wind factoring in. So I'm going to close my map. I align my camera with this flag over here, whip out some binocs and look in the same direction as the flag, and I see azimuth 64. I go back into the overlay, go to wind, azimuth 64. You can also click on the compass if you don't have a binoc to get accurate. So you could just look at your compass when your camera's aligned and then click it where it's aiming. So we're going to say 64. Then I'm going to turn my camera sideways so that I can see this flag. This looks like tier 2 or 3. I'm going to say I'm going to call that tier 2. So tier 2. And you'll see this range indicator just moved. So I set it to 0. Let's see. 1, 2. It moves like that. If I open my map, it's still in the same place. So if I reopen the overlay, everything is still in the right place, and now we can more accurately see all the different places we can shoot. Let's say, for example, that we wanted to shoot this bunker base. You simply right-click, add a standalone target, and we have a firing solution. In addition to displaying over here, it displays in the bottom right. Even when you close the overlay, it remains visible. If you have a sync server set up, every single overlay instance is a sync server, you can connect to your friends using their IP address and any room code, and it will then replicate your units and firing solutions, so everyone in the artillery squad can see the distance and the azimuth in the bottom right. Okay, if you want to get more accurate spotting, or if you're shooting at something that isn't on intel, like this bunker base for example, you can close your map and run off into the field. I do have a mod on which slightly changes my player icon, so it's easier for me to see the center of my player. You'll see that. So I'm just going to run up here. In fact, what I can do is open the overlay, create a spotter, say that it's a binoc spotter, and now I can see all the different places that I could put myself that could see this bunker base. This is entirely optional, of course, but this AI looks like a nice place to hide, right? So I'm going to head over there. Running ahead, sorry for the wait. I'm passing it. Okay, so this is what I was looking at on the map. I'll just come and take cover over here. Okay, we put the spotter on top of us, and then if I click on this target, I can position it relative to Charlie. And if I were to stand at Charlie and look down my binocs, I should see distance 113, azimuth 11.8 if I'm looking at that bunker base. Looks about right to me. Okay, so a few tricks that you can do is there is a key binding that you can make for toggling aiming down sights. Let me just find it over here. This one over here. So I've bound it to numpad 0. If I do that, and in the overlay under settings, you can set keyboard shortcuts. There's one for toggling the overlay, one for calibrating the wind, and one for editing the current target. So I'm in position, I can see that target, let's say it was a tank. I toggle aim down sights, and now, even if I open the overlay, I stay aiming down sights, so I can easily change the figures very quickly. If I have a target set, so Bravo here, and that target is relative to any other unit, in this case Charlie, and I want to rapidly edit its figures, I could be, for example, changing it to this, 8632. I can press the key that I bound to editing the target, which is, in this case, numpad star, and I'll just type 86, enter, 32, enter. Done. The firing solution in the bottom right is now updated and is firing at this target. Then, maybe you're slightly off. Maybe you measured your wind slightly incorrectly, maybe you put your artillery slightly in the wrong place, or maybe there's an elevation difference between the gun and the target. All of these can affect where your shells are going to land. So there's a simple solution. You simply find out where the shells are landing. Let's say they were landing over here. So the wind is pushing more northward than I thought, or an elevation change is causing something like that. I simply press the key that I used to bind adjust wind, and it creates a landing zone relative to Charlie. And I'll just use distance 110, azimuth 26. Oops, I've pressed escape, my bad. Okay, 110, 26. And you'll see when I press enter now, it's going to change the wind to account for this, so that it's going to say the wind is pushing more north than I previously stated, by exactly the offset from delta to my target, so that my shells land. So currently the distance is 161, azimuth 46. I press enter, and it changes, and the overlay closes. And with this firing solution, if your shells were landing at 110.26, they will now land over here instead. And then you keep firing. And while you're firing and hitting the target, if it just so happens that the wind changes because there's a storm or something, and your shells start shifting off, you simply watch where they're on average landing. So let's say they're landing over here, 80.44, I press adjust wind, 80, enter, 44, enter, the measurements change, and we're back on target. Simple as that. And then this target dies, we're going to go shoot this one instead, 114.11, star, 114.11, enter, done. And it keeps the wind adjustments that I've been doing on this bunker base. So when the wind was further to the north and I adjusted, it remembers that. Then the wind changed and it went southeast and I adjusted, it remembered that. So then when I aim at this, so long as the elevation is the same, you should immediately hit the target, which is incredibly valuable for hitting mobile targets like tanks and, more importantly, gunboats. You can sink gunboats incredibly reliably because they don't know to move until your shells are hitting them. You don't have to, over time, get closer. It just remembers your adjustments from last time. The sea is very flat, so the elevation never changes. You hit them, they run, you find their new position, you don't change the wind at all, and you instantly hit them again. Thank you for watching.